Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to make roasted spaghetti squash using this one that I grew in my garden. As the name implies, it is a great alternative to regular spaghetti if cooked correctly. I'm going to be showing you the al dente method today. It can be used in any recipe you want, spaghetti squash bolognese anyone, or you can eat it as it is, and I'll be showing you how to season it at the end of the video. Now the first thing we have to do is set our oven to 400F or 200C.
Having rinsed your spaghetti squash, the next thing you'll want to do is cut it in half lengthwise. This is the trickiest part, however I recently found a much easier and safer way. The first thing you'll want to do is cut off the stem end. Then you'll want to insert your knife down into the center of the spaghetti squash and cut down one side. Repeat for the other side, and there you have it. The next thing to do is to use a spoon to scoop out the seeds and strands from the center of the squash. With that done, you'll want to take a knob of butter and rub it on the cut side of your squash. Don't worry if you still have some butter left over, as we'll have a use for that later. All that's left to do is get a lined baking tray, place your squash cut side down on it, and put it in the oven. You can use parchment paper or a silicone liner like I did. Cooking time depends on the size of the squash. For a smaller one, 15 minutes may be enough. For regular sized ones, about 20 minutes is enough. To check if it's done, use the tines of a fork to see if you can make any strands. This one isn't done yet, so I'm going to be putting it back in for another 5 minutes. As you can see, the extra 5 minutes was all it took. As I struggle with the fork, the strands separate easily. You want to be careful not to overcook it, as it will become mushy and no longer al dente, as it were. Now we're going to let it stand for a few minutes to cool enough that I can handle it. Okay, it's had a few minutes to cool down. It's still a little bit hot, so I'm going to do one side for a little bit and then switch to the other when it's too hot to handle. Another way to do it is to just keep it down there and scoop it out. The more you scoop out, the faster it cools down. We want to still have it a little bit warm so that it can melt the butter in the next step. As I'm going to eat this on its own, the next step is to season it. I'm going to add a few little shavings of butter and some salt and pepper. Since the squash is still hot, the butter will melt easily as I stir it. You can also add whatever other herbs or spices you normally like to add to your spaghetti. And all that's left is to plate it up.
Okay guys, well I hope you enjoyed that. Spaghetti squash does not freeze well, but it does keep for a few days in the refrigerator. Unless of course you ate it all in one go. Now please remember to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, because I'm going to be making more recipes like this in the future, and you don't want to miss them.